What is up, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video. Today we are going to be doing a big job on the F30. Going to be replacing the oil filter housing, hopefully the easy way. Alright, so what happens with the B48 and B58 engines, which are actually still the current engines BMW is using, is there's a coolant line and an oil line, obviously, that go to the oil filter housing. And for us, in these 3 Series and 4 Series, that sits kind of in the back of the engine back there. So it's already kind of hard to get to. But the big problem is they make these out of plastic on the factory engine for some reason. And over time, just from wear and tear or from, torquing, twisting on this, trying to get the cap off, those tend to crack. And they crack like pretty early in the car's life, like 50,000 miles, which is, that's crazy, that's not good. So I've actually already had mine replaced in this car before, under warranty. But the new one that was put on probably 2 years ago has already cracked again. I had a local shop do a pressure test on my coolant system, and they found that was a pretty major leak back there. So today we're going to be replacing it ourselves with this Rhine aluminum oil filter housing. So this one will not suffer from the same issues that the plastic one has. Obviously, it's made out of metal. It's not going to crack, and it's not going to erode on the inside there. So that'll be nice. That should take away this issue completely for this car. The only issue is, like I said, it's on the back of the engine, so it's kind of hard to get to. And BMW techs will have you, they'll quote you like $5,000 because they say they have to take off the intake manifold, which sits on the top driver's side of the engine here. And they have to go from the bottom and move the transmission cooler. But I've seen a couple things online, seen a couple videos that weren't really tutorials. They were more just like somebody, vlogging the process. But apparently you can do this by just removing the DME here, which is the control, like computer for the car. So we can unplug all of that, take it out, take the mounting box out for it. That should give us a nice little window in there to get to this. I'm not saying it's going to be really easy, but it's a lot better than removing your intake manifold, because then you've got to replace your manifold gaskets on there, which I ordered these parts like a month ago, and I was actually waiting on them because those gaskets were back ordered. And then I realized, I found out I could do this without taking that off. So I was able to cancel those and get all my parts in. But also, we shouldn't really have to get under the car at all, which is always a plus, especially working in a tight home garage like this. So trying to save ourselves a few $1,000s and do this a little bit quicker than I normally would. So I'm going to go ahead and get started taking off the plastics, and we'll see how this job goes. All right, so up front, we are getting rid of just some of those regular plastics that cover kind of the air intake, the DME cover, and the engine cover. You do have to do kind of a full, what I call like a front teardown. So I'm getting rid of those panels up by the windshield. And then we are also going to have to take off the strut tower brace. So the rubber seal goes around the back of the engine, comes off. That wire that runs through it has to come out of the track first. Then we are taking off the top mount of the strut tower brace, as well as the points that go onto the towers. And then that last little plastic cover that kind of goes around the brake cylinder, and that'll give us full access to the back of the engine there. Then I move into the trunk. We are disconnecting the battery because we're going to be unplugging the DME, so you want to make sure that you take off your positive terminal, make sure it can't reconnect, and then we can go ahead and start tackling the DME. So there's 6 plugs that go into the top of the DME. They are each a different size, so you don't really have to worry about taking pictures or remembering their order. They only go back into the one plug that they're supposed to, which is nice. But along the way, there's some other connectors besides the big 6 that I do go ahead and take some pictures of, and I recommend you do the same, just to make sure you put them back in the same place. A couple in the front there. Then this little supporting bracket comes off the side, and then at that point you can take the DME out. I think I slid it out. There's 2 bolts that hold the box in, and then there's some really troublesome clips on the front of that. Oh yeah, I was showing you guys here. There's a little wire that runs in a little plastic clip on the back of the case that you have to take out. So fish that out. It feels a little stiff, but it comes out. And then down low there's another one of those clips that is stuck into the bottom of the box. You just push the tab and pull it out. I had a lot of trouble with these plugs on the front of it. They're like these two little, I don't know how you call them, there's like 3 channels that fit into each other, and I had to use like 3 screwdrivers like pushed in at the same time to get those to come apart. But then this is the view that you get. So we can see the oil filter housing there, and there's ample room to get to it. The intake manifold is still on, you can see there. So this is just a overview. You can't really see the bolts, but you can get a hand in there and feel them, and you'll have room to get your tools in there, which is the most important part. So what I'm doing here is getting rid of some of these coolant lines, just disconnecting them, the auxiliary line, and then you'll see here I go reach under there and unplug 2 big ones, one that goes on the underside of the intake manifold and the one that comes right out of the block. And you'll see that right there, that one in the middle, that one was leaking. That's a port coming out of the block. That was also a big leak. I did get an aluminum piece to replace that with as well. And I think we're going to jump ahead here, and I'll show you it already taken off. Alright you guys, so I am editing this video. First of all, apologies for it going to like phone quality all of a sudden. My camera died, and I was like deep into this job. So I said, you know, fuck it. We're just gonna do some phone clips here and there. This was not easy. And getting it off did require me to have to go into the car for one bolt, the one bottom corner. If like you're looking at the side of the engine, it's like the one on the bottom right, I guess you would call it. Could not reach it from the top. So what I ended up having to do was go on the undercover of the car, take off like just the right side so it would like hang down, and I could reach up in there and look up in there. And I had to get that last little bolt. I didn't have to move the transmission cooler, which was good, but I had to get a little ratcheting. It was like a ratcheting wrench. So the circle end of it, I could ratchet with it, and it was whatever size that is. I think it's like the bolt itself is like a T10 or something, T12. I really don't know. It's a Torx head, male head, and I was able to get like a 12-point ratcheting wrench on there and move it like this much. And it like I had to do it for like 5 minutes because I was getting like one bite basically on the ratchet. So that was hard. And getting all the other ones, it's blind. You can't see them. You're just kind of putting your hand on there, feeling it, trying to guide your socket onto it to ratchet it off, but it was a pain. It's hard to see in there. It's hard to do anything in there, but as you can see, I did get it off, and I'm showing you guys. You have to make sure none of the gaskets get stuck on there, because sometimes the little black rings will get stuck around the holes. Take those off, and then neatly clean it. You can just use a microfiber. I wouldn't scrape this or anything with a chisel. The block is aluminum. It'll deform pretty easily, and then that can give you a leak as well, and that's a way bigger issue to try to get fixed. So don't do that. Just clean them off. And I'll link the parts down below as well, but that flange that was above the oil filter housing with black plastic, that was leaking like really bad. That might have been my main leak, honestly. When I looked at it, there was a lot of dried coolant like around there leaking down the side of the block. Ryan makes it a replacement for that as well out of aluminum, and I got that as well. I think it was like 30 bucks. So all in, like all of the parts were like right at $200, I think, for this job, which is not bad compared to what they would want at the shop to then go ahead and just put plastic parts back on. So yeah, it was hard, and I didn't enjoy it. I did not like doing that. If you are like, you know, mechanically inclined, you can definitely try it, but just know that this took me, it's probably like a good like 6 hours in total. But a lot of those were like, you know, fumbling around for trying to find a bolt or dropping a socket down somewhere and trying to find that. Like, it wasn't just 6 hours of like actually, you know, wrenching on things. It was a lot harder than that. So if you're mechanically inclined, try it, but just know you're probably going to be out of a car for like a day or two while you're working on this. But yeah, let me get back to the few clips that I do have to show you, And yeah, sorry, it's not an actual tutorial. Oops. But yeah, that is the cleaned off surface. A couple of these lines that are always in the way, you'll get very familiar with those, as you have to scratch your arm on them to reach around to get in there while you're doing the job. This is an example of what it would look like a lot. So I'd send my phone in, right? Try to like find a bolt that I was trying to tighten. Like that's the bottom corner one right there, you can see. And then I would reach in, I would watch that video back and reach in. Here, I had accidentally unbolted part of the transmission cooler bracket right there. You see that hole? So I was confirming that that hole was there, taking the phone back out, putting the bolt in, and then I would go back in with my phone and like make sure that it was there. So in the next clip, you'll see that that bolt is back in there. So yeah, not a lot of fun. I'm gonna be honest, not a lot of fun. But this is the view with the new oil filter housing in there, nice and shiny aluminum, you see. Everything was bolted back up. And I'm happy to say that the job worked. I no longer have a coolant leak. It's been like about 3 weeks now since I've done this, and the coolant level has stayed consistent. Alright, you guys, so it's been over a month now since I've done the oil filter housing replacement. And the car has actually been running great. It's honestly the first time in a very long time that the car has been running great. It's been kind of, a common thing with this car for the past couple of years that it'll have like, check engine light come on, one thing after another. Most of it has been coolant related though. Honestly, all of it's been coolant related. So I think with that fix, replacing that hose flange with aluminum and the aluminum oil filter housing, I've kind of fixed that. Let me pop the hood for you guys, show you what's going on under there. So again, kind of hidden away in there, but there is that aluminum oil filter housing sitting nice and pretty. Done about 2,000 miles since the change and had no issues with coolant. But yeah, I'm happy with this, and it's kind of given me more excitement for the car again. I feel like I can like trust the car again, like rely on it, take it on longer trips, and I can push it again. I've told you guys I'm stage 2 from boot mode on here. I've got the catless downpipe. And all that, which I can show you that too. I don't know if I've ever shown it on this car, but down there, you can kind of see that different color metal. There it is. That is the catless downpipe from PRL. And then we've got a Berger Motorsports. It's not really cold air. It's just a aftermarket air intake. It still utilizes some of the factory tubing here, you see. So I still have the baffle on there, but I do also have this FTP Motorsport charge pipe. So that prone to bursting when you up the boost a lot, so went ahead and changed that out too. Next future plans are actually replacing this baffled intake inlet pipe with aluminum piece too. What that'll really do is just free up more sound so you can hear this aftermarket intake a little bit better, get some more spinny whoosh noises from the turbo. But I feel confident now because of that oil filter housing job to do these kind of things again, to mod the car, to kind of drive it as an enthusiast, whereas before, when it was leaking and I was having to put a liter of coolant in pretty much every other day, I was keeping it in comfort, I was keeping it calm. Luckily it was the winter, so the car wasn't getting too hot anyways, but yeah, it's this thing, dare I say, feels reliable again. So I don't think I've given you guys any exhaust clips from this car. I think I did have some on the channel from when I had the 328. This is the 330, so this is the B48. I think it sounds a lot better. The exhaust setup on here is very similar to what I did with the 328. I've actually just got a muffler delete back there, so let me show you what it looks like, and then I'll give you a little startup and some revs from outside the car. Alright, so this is what we're working with. So I've just got a little aftermarket, dual tip to kind of match what the factory was going. I do have this aftermarket rear diffuser, or whatever you want to call this piece. I think it makes it look a lot more sporty, but then if you look down under here, basically it's got a straight pipe going right back in, back to where it connects to the original piping back by the axle. So cheap. I think it sounds really good though. This car still has the resonator, and that with the catless downpipe, I think it just sounds really aggressive, but it's not too much. Some people might think it's too much. It's pretty loud on startup, I'm not gonna lie, but once it's settled in and it's warm, it's honestly not that bad. And you really only hear it when you really get on it, like just regular daily driving, it's not like droning or anything. It sounds pretty good. So let me show you guys. Alright, I honestly think I'm not supposed to show you guys the sound of this car revving, because I literally just recorded after it idled, after the startup and idle. I did like a few revs, got like the pops and bangs, and I wasn't recording. Again, I feel like I've done this already with this car, so maybe in another video I'll give some revs. I do have a suction cup mount, so I want to use like a friend's car and get some rolling shots of this car, so maybe then we'll get some exhaust clips. But yeah, for now that's all I have for you guys. So long story short, that job was hard. Maybe try it, maybe don't try it. Watch a lot of YouTube videos like I did. But yeah, thank you for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video, where hopefully we're doing some fun mods, or you know, maybe I'm thinking about doing a review of the cars. Maybe we'll do that next. So thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.